Hi, it's Nitya with Karma Chameleon. Welcome to all things Chinese BaZi Astrology and Feng Shui. Today we're talking about Alec Baldwin and Hilaria Baldwin. I will say right off the bat, interesting pairing, these two. Big age difference, lots of children. Unfortunately, for both of these people, there is no birth time. Typically, I don't even venture down this path, so I'm not looking obviously at the hour, and the hour tells us about their career. It also tells us about their children, of which they have, I believe, 7 last there was a count. So what I thought would be an interesting deep dive is looking at these people and their marriage. So when you look at a day pillar, the day that you're born, you have the branch and the stem, and the branch, that is who you are. That is your element. So I've got lots of tiny little notes here. Let's see. So Alec is a yang metal person. Hilaria is a yang earth person. So very, right there, two very strong individuals. But I didn't even add up or do the mathematics around their elements, their 5 elements, because without the time, it's about 75% accurate. And I really struggle with that, because the thing is, you could see somebody as being weak in fire, and their hour could be all fire. And so, yeah, I would rather keep it a little more accurate. So when you look at the animal sitting under the branch, that's where we see our most intimate relationships. So for Alec, he is born in the year of a yang earth dog, the month of a yin wood rabbit. So that's double yin wood. And then again, his day pillar, yang metal dog. So we've got 2 dogs. So right off the bat, this tells me this is somebody who is loyal and true, maybe to a fault. Somebody that is very responsible, dutiful, reliable, fights for justice, stands up for people, all of these things, right? Strong work ethic, strong ethics in general. And in that, it becomes, it's a person that you can rely on. It's somebody that you can expect good things from, somebody that you can rely on. So what he's looking for in his chart with a spouse or partner is somebody that is, it can go a couple of different ways. One could be that this is someone that he really wants to feel a deep spiritual connection with, a very deep connection, meaningful. Another could be that he seeks somebody that he can learn something from. So in that regard, he would be looking for somebody that's very intelligent, somebody that's smart, maybe somebody that has different skills or interests than he does, so that he can learn something new from them. To a lesser degree is that he is looking for a friend, a partner, and one on equal status. And the best part, rooted in all of that, is family. And so you really see, given that this is a dog, this is somebody very anchored in his family. When we look at Hilaria, she is a double pig. So you've got a double dog and a double pig. A double pig, unfortunately, is a self-punishment. And this is someone who has a tendency to fight with herself, battle with herself, fixed mindset, old ways of thinking, kind of like if you have been telling yourself since you were 10 years old that you're clumsy, and now you're 50 years old and you've broken multiple bones, you're constantly spraining things, and you've completely convinced yourself you are that clumsy person, whether or not you actually are. We have to be careful with the narratives that we imprint on ourselves and that others imprint on us, right? So even if you have a fixed mindset, that doesn't mean that just came out of the ether into thin air. It could very well mean that this was, that you had a parent or a sibling that was always saying to you what a clumsy klutz you are, and to the point where you manifested it and it became your own. So we can think about these things. Yeah, for sure. For Hilaria, interestingly enough, she is looking for an older man, a father figure. And that's certainly what she has. Alec's born in 1958. She's born in 1984. That's a big age difference. So yeah, she's looking for a father figure. There is love there. There is, the benefit, I would say, I'm trying to be tasteful here, of the fact that she is sitting fat city financially. And that's right there in her chart, that she would benefit financially through this marriage. And also that her marriage, her partners challenge her. She's a little feisty. She's looking for that challenge. Now, the thing about pigs are notoriously well-loved, easy to get along with. They make friends easily. They really enjoy the luxuries of life, having a lifestyle that is conducive to celebrating the arts, all things beautiful, how you dress, things like that. They're very outgoing, they're sensual, they're warm-hearted. They've also can be hot-tempered and self-indulgent. Yeah, we all have our positive and negative sides, but when you have a double animal year and day, it is so strong in your chart. So yeah, the idea of excessiveness, and all of this is so amplified, really amplified. But they're pretty stress-free. I mean, it's no wonder she's a yogi. I mean, she gravitates towards something that is herself. Very chilled out, easygoing. I can't imagine being in a house with 7 children, certainly not through a pandemic. I think she had 2 babies almost back to back, like months apart. So lots happening for her. So then I wanted to kind of break down, I found it interesting that his first luck cycle happened when he was an infant. And I don't know if he was sick, if something was happening, but this brought him to a place of great challenges. That first 10 years of his life, there's a lot of authority coming down hard on him, strict disciplinarians, people just very critical of him. There's also a very strong emphasis on education, learning, and also the spiritual side of life. Also being a bit of a rebellious kid, and growing up in a level of wealth. His parents, again, remember he's born in the month of Yinwood Rabbit. So both of his parents are providing. What does he get from his relationship with his parents? Wealth, property and wealth. So that is evident right from the very beginning. So then I kind of fast forwarded because, so all right, so I'll stick with this. So Hilaria's first luck cycle shift was not as an infant. In fact, it was the longest period of time that she could have that energetic umbilical cord with her mother. Her first luck cycle shift was at the age of 9. So this shows a child that was very, like this with her mom. And she and her mom are very much alike. Though they do bring out different sides of each other, I would imagine they are pretty close. And her father comes out as a father who is very family oriented, dutiful to the family. So I'm sure that there is that echoing happening with her relationship with Alec, that she is seeing aspects of her father played out with her marriage. And so in her first luck cycle shift, it's very interesting. They both are getting the same thing, though for her, the primary influence at the age of 9 was being very much focused on education, learning, her studies, her teachers. But she also had the challenge of authority figures being really challenging, people being obstinate and possibly even cruel, maybe even bullying her. So all of that happening. So then we're going to fast forward to when they met, which was 2011, and what luck cycle was going on for them at that time. For her, this was a period that was very much about her mother. It was about nurturing. It's about the mother archetype, the divine feminine, really and truly. And also, this was a luck cycle that began in 2003, yin fire rabbit, that is very much highlighting family, marriage, boyfriend, and work. So that's an interesting piece. So we look at what was happening for Alec in his luck cycle that was happening at that time that they met. His luck cycle began in 2008. Was during his time, like for her, this is a period between ages 19 and 28. His luck cycle is ages 50 to 59. Again, big age difference. And for him, this period was very much about, well, there was the potential for loss of income, but it was very much about acting. I've mentioned this before with actors, where this is a double yin period of his life, yin metal, rooster being yin metal. And so it's playing different roles. It's seeing yourself from different sides. Yeah. So no mention of marriage, none of that. It's very self-focused, very focused on himself. All right. So let's look at the year that they met. The year that they met, 2011, was a yin metal rabbit year. And for her, this was a year of change. Her life was going through a monumental change at this time. And knowing that her luck cycle had started in 2003, at the age of 19, she is now getting to her late 20s. She is, going through a big change in her life. This is also, in Western astrology, her first Saturn return is at this time. Big changes are going on. And again, we get this mention of the rabbit, which is the rabbit is echoing her luck cycle and really bringing in, this woman's, I would imagine her biological clock was ticking loud in her ear. Little rabbit, you're running out of time. You're running out of time. So very much, it was really destiny that she would, meet Alec at this time, in this year, in this luck cycle that is so focused on romance, on relationship, and marriage, and taking on more responsibilities in her life. This is a woman who is a very passionate person, very artistic, very smart, very also a dreamer, somebody that is an idealist. I guess in that way, she sees the possibilities of things, but she can also have her head in the clouds, as in not seeing reality too. And somebody that's pretty much destined to be wealthy. And for Alec is somebody that is very independent, very much needs a calm, steady environment. So being with somebody that's a double pig is awesome for him. Awesome. Because he needs that easygoing person to be with, somebody that's just light and fun. But Alec, man, he likes to be busy. This guy is an adventurer. He's passionate. He chases after his desires. He's competitive. And he backed into a corner, he comes out fighting hard. And he can be manipulative because he's got to win the fight. That's all I have to say. All right. So I believe they married the next year in 2012, the year of a Yang water dragon. And for her, again, there's mention of the father, extra income, focus on herself, also coming in with money, property, moving, and rooted in this year is marriage. So we have, again, given that this is the last year of this luck cycle, there is very much this feeling of it's time to get married for her. For Alec, 2012 was a year that was focused on really enjoying the work he's doing and having fun, being active. It was also a time of learning, of getting resources from outside support systems. It was also a year of change for him, and embedded in his year is marriage, moving, property, and finances. So it's interesting that the year they were married, I'm pretty sure it was 2012, they both had that seed of marriage rooted in that year. And I actually like seeing the seeds better than even like out front and obvious, because I feel like seeds have a greater longevity if they're cared for, that they will bloom and grow, as all relationships need to be nurtured, fed, and cared for. Yeah. Otherwise, they dry up and die if we don't take care of our loves. All right. So then I wanted to look at two tricky times for these people. So you remember, so now she's moved into 2013 luck cycle of a Yang Earth dragon. And this is really highlighting her. It's like just a big, ginormous focus on the self. And for a pig person, well, that's just like heaven, because this is what they love. I mean, Jesus, if you could pick one of the zodiac animals out of the Chinese, menagerie, the one with the banner for self-care is the pig. So it's interesting that it's during this time that she is having all these children. I mean, an amazing amount of children, and rooted in, again, into this dragon period, is family and her marriage and children, not children, but definitely family, taking care of responsibilities, home, finances, all of that rooted down in there. So in 2020 is when this whole thing about her identity and how she has been identifying herself. And this was a Yang metal rat year. So the rat for her really surged in a lot of water. And water for her is money. So it's kind of interesting. The one thing I'm very curious about is if she's born in the hour of the rabbit, like around 5 a.m, that would explain to a certain degree, because we know that the rabbit and the rat form that punishment of lawsuits, of the exact thing that happened, which was this accusation, this penalty that came against her when people said, hey, foul, you aren't who you say you are. You aren't from Spain. You're from whatever it is, Connecticut. Well, let me just say this, okay? I can do a hell of a country accent. When I am out here with the locals, my country accent comes out. Now, where am I from? This is really an interesting thing. Some of us, like my dear friend, grew up her whole life in Baltimore, just like me, but she had a country house in West Virginia. Now, I grew up in Baltimore, but at the age of 14, we moved to the eastern shore of Maryland, where we had always had a country house. And I've always jokingly said that I'm both the city mouse and the country mouse. Where am I from? Well, I usually, when people ask, say Baltimore, because I think it's more recognizable than saying I'm from Easton, Maryland, and or St. Michael's, Maryland, or somewhere in between. And it's also, I could very easily be walking around with a country accent all the time and say that I'm from Easton, Maryland, when somebody could look up and say, but wait, you're really from Baltimore. Why don't you have a Baltimore accent? Sometimes I do, especially when I'm around my dear friend who's from Baltimore that I grew up with. So anyway, the point being, this woman grew up in Connecticut, was born in Connecticut, but her family now lives in Spain. And during her childhood, she went back and forth. So she has 2 languages. And for her, maybe for whatever reason, maybe her posh little piggy self decided that it was more elegant, more something for her to say that she was Spanish. And all of her children are named with Spanish names, because that's where she identifies most with, the Spanish culture, the place that she went to as a child. Now, I'm not getting in one camp or the other. I'm just throwing out the idea that we can be from 2 places, and those 2 places can influence how we sound, our dialect. I am a person that if I went to Ireland for a year, I would probably pick up an Irish accent. I am just that kind of person. I love language. I love accents. And I enjoy the diversity, the richness of culture all around us. So I find it very bizarre how our world bullies each other viciously, goes after people. Like, who are we to judge this woman? Does it really matter? Does it matter? She grew up in 2 places. if she's got a Spanish accent, maybe she spent enough time there that that's what comes naturally to her. I don't know. Anyway, this was a year for her that really spoke of property, of money, of her health, of her daughters. 2020 did. And again, without the hour, my guess is that she's got to be born in the hour of a rabbit. If somebody knows Hilaria Baldwin's birth time or Alec Baldwin, please put it in the comments. I am so curious. But in the meantime, I don't really see any reason why this penalty was going against her unless, and I've mentioned this also, unless there is something that was going on that year in the southern part of her home. The South in Feng Shui is where you hold your reputation, your fame, how you are recognized in your community. And if she had, and that's a fire element. So let's say she had a big exercise equipment over there, or she painted that room gray, or had something like clutter or something going on over there. That could explain what happened to her in 2020, and it continues 3 years later. She is actually going to hit a new luck cycle this October 28th. She will be moving into a yin earth snake time. And this period of her life is 39 to 48. And this for her is going to be a time of recognizing how multifaceted she is and recognizing the roles that she plays: mother, wife, American, Spaniard, you know. She is looking at all of her roles and how she identifies with herself. And with that, there is, I would say, a very good possibility that this 10 years is going to be a pretty deep dive into a spiritual journey for her. And also a really good time for her to seek support from outside resources. This will be a time very focused on daughters. And again, really wrestling with the identity, how she identifies with herself. All right, the last piece wanted to talk about is this awful shooting that actually happened on my birthday in 2021, October 21st, 2021. Horrible shooting. I don't even know why they felt like they needed to finish this movie after that beautiful woman was accidentally shot. And I'm not in any way, shape, or form going into that. But again, I would love to know what his hour is, because I would guess it's a snake. Because if there were a snake involved, that would explain the punishment of legal action, accidents, death even. This was, the day that this happened was a yin metal ox year in a yang earth dog month with a yang water tiger day. And when you looked at all of that, this really was talking about acting was big this year for him. It's also about legal action. It's also about rebelliousness, and travel, money, his marriage. It's also, remember, we've got now this third dog involved, and also recognizing not only is this month of this horrible incident bringing in this third dog, the luck cycle he was in or is in, 2018 to 2028, ages 60 to 69, is a yang earth dog. So now there's 4 dogs happening on that day of the shooting. This is feeling to me like an overwhelming amount of earth energy. And for somebody who is has a wood pattern for their chart, all of this earth is really taxing his very life, really and truly. So, looking at all of this, this is a month that looks like it would be a great time to find funding for a movie, for instance, in a time like this. It could also be a time of an incredible, teachable moment. And this is a time of like a slander, the day that this happened. You're looking at that there was a lot of activity. He was doing what he loves. He's playing his role. He's got backing. All right. All these layers. A lot of focus on, outside resources. And then you've got this element coming in on that day, of some challenge coming at him that is work related. But yeah, again, it's like, would be so cool to see if his hour created a situation here. And when you look at the day, that year 2021, the ox forms a punishment with his dogs, all those dogs, creating a lot of stress in his life, like the kind of stress that can lead to somebody becoming really sick. And also was a surging of wood energy, which helps hit the pattern of his chart, because you don't want to lose the pattern. If you lose the pattern, your life can become extremely unstable. Your day pillar element, which for him is yang metal, having all that earth surging in, it's like an overwhelming presence. So, again, it's a tricky biscuit when you look at these charts without times. You get a lot of information, but you can also see how you can get a whole lot more. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you soon. And until then, be well.